Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and the time has finally arrived to discuss one thing that I've noticed the Dragon Ball community has been talking about for well over a year at this point. If you date it back to when Vegeta originally transformed into Ultra Ego Vegeta against Granola and then eventually Gas later on. Dragon Ball fans have basically been talking about this conceptual fusion between Ultra Ego Vegeta and Ultra Instinct Goku. And is it plausible? Is it realistic? Could it actually happen? This whole perfect fusion theory. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of this theoretical fusion, how it would affect Dragon Ball, and so on and so forth. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video and get straight into the strengths. So, one of the appealing things about this fusion, other than the very simple fact that it basically just combines Goku and Vegeta's most epic forms ever, that probably are never going to change considering the fact that Goku and Vegeta haven't fully mastered these forms, so it's very unlikely that in the foreseeable future, Goku and Vegeta are going to have a transformation that's brand new that is better than Ultra Ego and Ultra Instinct, considering the fact that they're learning these forms from gods themselves. So it's hard to imagine anything that could actually be better than this. But besides the point, the strengths of the transformation would obviously have to be evasiveness or avoidive, or shall I say, the ability to avoid, as we've seen with Ultra Instinct in Goku's case. And obviously there's a massive power boost for both transformations, so I mean there's not really that much to say there. And also the durability. And this is really a key that we get from the Ultra Ego transformation, because when Vegeta utilizes this form, in a weird way it's kind of like he doesn't feel, like he feels the pain, but he's able to fight through it, which in a lot of ways is beautiful, because I think the transformation is absolutely perfect for Vegeta more than any other character out there. But when you actually go back to analyzing this theoretical fusion, we also have to think of what the theoretical weaknesses would be. And I think, I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves, both of these forms have a massive amount of power output, at least at this point in time where Goku and Vegeta haven't perfected it, so they can't stay in the forms for an extended period of time. Especially Goku, who actually preferred going into his Ultra Instinct Omen form because he felt like he couldn't fully control his Ultra Instinct form, as he was saying, against Gas. So when you just factor all of that into the complexity of the transformations, it's very possible that in the foreseeable future, Goku might not use true Ultra Instinct anymore, and he might just stick with Omen as he finds it more practical to actually use. Now, going back to the other weaknesses of this theoretical fusion would also be that if they were to have to fuse to use it, it would be a very temporary transformation that they could use, so it would literally be a form akin to something that they used against Broly, where like they fuse together as two Super Saiyan Blues and then just try to wipe out Broly really fast before they defuse, because, I mean, let's just be honest, we are all imagining that they would eventually use this form against Frieza, and because of the fact that fusion is temporary, no matter which type of fusion they go into, it's not going to be something that they can stay in for an extended period of time, especially as there's always like new written rules with fusion where like if you try to maintain a really powerful form for a long time, the fusion burns out faster. I mean, Dragon Ball's been changing its rules about fusion for years, and we saw against Zamasu that in that specific situation, they basically timed out. And also, it's one of those things too where like in Dragon Ball, usually, you know, they don't allow a fusion to defeat a villain because it's usually too easy. So what they basically do is they use fusion for movies that are very self-contained. So if you fuse in the last few minutes, it's okay to use that to defeat the villain like we saw in Fusion Reborn and Dragon Ball Super Broly. But to fuse in like an actual like anime or manga arc where like you're using the form to actually defeat the villain, it's just never something that Dragon Ball's ever done because it would look or appear too easy. And they want to create a lot more tension. So as we've seen with Gotenks, as we've seen with Vegito multiple times, we've just never gotten a chance to see fusion really do something in like a major arc. You know, it's usually just a temporary boost that usually fails because the characters just time out. So because of that, it is more likely than not that Gogeta would be the one that would fuse over Vegito, because to fuse into Vegito you would need airings, and then that would it would be too specific to get the characters to do that, and considering the fact that Vegeta does know how to do the fusion dance now, whereas before he didn't, it just seems a lot more practical to do the dance. Now, how would they do the dance with a villain who wants to stop them from doing the dance is another conversation. Maybe the earrings could be practical, but in all likelihood, it would be most likely Gogeta who would be the one to come out of the fusion. Now, there's another thing too here dealing with the fact that the fusions are also somewhat counterintuitive in nature. Because when you look at it from the perspective of Ultra Instinct, you have a situation where the whole purpose of Ultra Instinct is to have your body basically avoid on its own, whereas with Ultra Ego, the transformation gets more powerful the more damage you take. It's kind of like a Zenkai boost on steroids, but continuously. It's like a continuous Zenkai boost on steroids, basically. And when you factor that in, it would be kind of weird to see, would that create a weakness or would that create a strength? You know, it's kind of hard to imagine how that would improve the fusion or weaken it. On one side, you could say it would improve the fusion because if you do take damage, you get stronger from it. But at the same time, if you avoid everything, then you won't take damage. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very complex direction to go into. But moving on to our next point, though, we have to move on to marketing. Now, from a marketing point of view, this is just like candy. Because when you factor in that you have the two most popular characters in the entire series, right? So, I mean, let's just think about it like this. If you create a transformation that features the two most popular characters, that is immediately a good business tactic. Then, even if this is something that is temporarily used in the case of like Vegeta or Gogeta, if this is a transformation, that would actually add a lot more value to it, because if you know anything about Dragon Ball and marketing and such, rare characters and rare transformations usually make the biggest sales. If they made this something that they could do all the time, then it would obviously not have a lot of value. But because of the fact that Vegeta is extremely against fusing, and even Goku himself is against fusing, as he usually wants to try and, you know, defeat a character on his own, with the exception of like the Buu arc, where like they could have easily fused to kill Kid Buu, but to create tension they basically just said, alright, well, let's just not fuse. In this particular case, I think it's best for us to say that from a marketing point of view, this would be marketing heaven, because you would literally have a rare character with a rare transformation with the two most unique transformations that Goku and Vegeta has ever had. And to be more specific with that, the design would be very difficult to understand too, because one character has silver hair, one character has more of a purple tinted hair. So like, how exactly would it look? You know, because Ultra Ego Vegeta doesn't have eyebrows anymore, kind of similar to a Super Saiyan 3. And then you have like Ultra Instinct Omen, then you also have Ultra Instinct, like true Ultra Instinct or perfected Ultra Instinct. There's so many different words to describe it, but you know, Mastered Ultra Instinct is probably like the most natural name to it. So with all of that said, I think whoever is going to create this transformation would have to come up with an extremely unique design, considering the fact that, I mean, it's not very conventional to fuse totally different looking characters like that. But just because of the design, just because of the characters, just because of all of that, I mean, this just seems like it would be like marketing heaven forever. Like, this would sell literally forever, and if that helps your sales, then it just makes a lot of sense to do this, especially in a big fight with a potential character like Black Frieza. Now, the next thing that we also have to talk about here is the actual name. Now, theoretically, it's kind of hard to come up with a name for this, because like I said, it's Ultra Instinct and it's also Ultra Ego. So I thought about a lot of different names, and I came to the conclusion that I think Ultra Gogeta or Ultra Vegito would probably just be the best name, because it would just sound way too tacky to say Ultra Instinct Ego Gogeta, Ultra Instinct Omen, you know, Ego Vegito. It would just sound way too like tacky, and it would kind of remind me of Dragon Ball, or like back in when we had like the Resurrection of F arc, when, you know, Super Saiyan Blue first came out and they were calling it Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Like, I hated that title. It was garbage. I thought it's so redundant. It's the same thing for like Dragon Ball Super Hero. I mean, I get it, it's a movie title, but even then, like, when you like add doubles to names, it just doesn't sound cool. But if you just simplify it and just call it Ultra Gogeta or Ultra Vegito, it's simple, it's to the point, both characters have Ultra involved with it, and I just think that that would be fantastic for this theoretical fusion. And ultimately, I mean, we would probably reach a point where, like, it's like, if Goku and Vegeta can't beat you in Ultra Gogeta or Ultra Vegito, then what the hell else could they ever do to beat you? I mean, at that basic point, like, do you need, like, a multi-dimensional spirit bomb, you know, in order to do it? Or, like, a multi-universal spirit bomb where, like, you basically use a spirit bomb from Universe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, you have to use a spirit bomb from all the different universes and have them all somehow donate their energy to you. Like, that would be really, really hard to imagine anything that could ever beat this, except, you know, maybe Zeno, who, I mean, obviously, or maybe the Grand Priest, that's like the strongest angel, or Zeno that could just erase you from existence. But other than that, I don't see any way this transformation would lose. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.